Welcome to one more awesome episode of the Achievers Club podcast show. And today's podcast is really awesome because the guest we had onto this particular episode of the Achievers Club podcast show is someone who is 4 years younger than me. Yes, you heard it right because currently, while I'm recording this particular podcast, I'm just 20 years old. And the guest who is going to come up into this particular podcast show is someone who is 4 years younger, which means she's just 16 years old. Her name is Gargi Arya, and she's into the topic. She is expert into this particular field of life coaching and something called as Emoticare as well. And we have discussed a lot about life, and we have discussed about her own journey as well, like how she faced a lot of ups and downs into her own journey, and how she started this particular thing called as life coaching and Emoticare coaching as well. And into this particular podcast show itself, we have discussed a lot about her own books as well. Yes, you heard it right. She is author as well, and currently she has written down 4 books, and we have discussed about those 4 books into this particular podcast show as well. And there are a lot of achievements which we have already covered up, but most importantly, we have discussed about how someone can actually do self care and how someone can actually build a strong relationship not with somebody else but with our own self, and many more things based on our own individual self. That's what we have covered up into this particular podcast show. So make sure you watch this particular podcast till the end, and let's begin. Gargi Arya, thank you so much for being on our podcast show. First of all, how's your life going on?
Hello, I'm good. How are you? And thank you for inviting me on this show.
Thank you so much. I'm also doing good, and yeah, most welcome for this. And first of all, I would like to ask you this one single question. Like, you are very young, you are still 16, and you are into life coaching, and you are even more in depth of it. And as you mentioned on one of our call, that you are helping people in order to connect with their inner self and all. So I'll just begin with the question straightforward, that what is that particular topic all about and how people can actually benefit from it, and like what are the actual characteristic traits for the people, those who are actually in need of this thing, like if you can explain in short, like, yeah.
Okay, sure. So, first of all, a very nice question you have asked. A lot of people, what is the drawback of every human being is they love everybody around them, but they
Yes.
don't love the one person, which is themselves, right?
Mhm.
We often indulge into comparing ourselves. We often indulge into listening to other people's opinions, what they think about me. And you know what happens is when a lot of people actually judge us, because that's the work of every person.
Yes,
Even
yes.
if we talk about our own selves, how many times you have judged, how many times have I judged? We all have judged some or the other person, and that's how we compare ourselves. That uske paas to itna sara hai and I'd lack this. Right? So a
Yes.
lot of us we indulge into such kind of activities, and what happens is when you are just open to listening to other people, when you are just open to listening to what other people think about you tend to believe it. And the
Yes, yes.
self image that you create yourself is not that your own self creation, it's the other people designing your life. And that's why most of the people at the end of the day, what do they feel? I am tired. Life feels like hell. Life sucks. All
Yes.
the things that we hear people saying about life. But can I tell you, your life can actually start becoming a lot more better and a lot more beautiful once you form that connection with your own self. Like one of my mentors, Miss Pooja Puneet, she always talks about this example. When your own cup is empty, how can you love other people? Let's say if I am broken, if I am depressed, how can I spread love? How can I spread my own message? But why I'm able to do this work today? Because somewhere I have healed myself from a kind of, like depression, from my own depression. I have healed myself, and that's how I began my journey of healing other people. So what you need to do, and the importance of this is, you need to understand the self love is not luxury, it's a priority for every person. So I
That's
think
true.
that's the only thing.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, like your current age is 16. So I would like to ask this one. Actually, this is like a controversial question, but everyone has their own point of view. So right now you are going to school as well, and right now you are pursuing self education, and you are actually coaching people about the same. So I would like to ask, like, can you differentiate formal education and self education, maybe in one or two statements for the new audience? Maybe they are not younger, but they are older, and so that they can
Mhm.
understand the difference between formal and self education.
Okay, see, like the difference between what I feel formal education and self education is, formal education will get you a job, but self education will get you, like it will make you an asset for the whole nation. Why am I saying that? Because school teaches us about the education system, about everything that we need to learn about the knowledge.
Yes,
But you
true.
know what? Self education is more about educating our own selves and putting out that information. Like I attended one of the Blair Singers programs, and he said that education, if you search on Google also, the word comes from the Latin or Greek word educare, and that means that education is about putting out the information, not jamming in the information. So
So,
what I feel they do in school is jam in the information. That is also important,
mhm,
because there you get to know about the knowledge of every subject that you want to pursue in life. But at the same time, you have to create a balance between life skills, because school, at the end of the day, it will not teach you how to be happy, it will not teach you how to get over sadness, depression. It will conduct workshops, but it will never give you a step by step journey to follow, right? So at the same time, if a lot of parents, a lot of people, they focus on formal education, I want you to keep a balance between both. Formal education is
and
also
self.
important, self education is also important.
So you mean like formal education is something which will give us clarity about what are the different aspects of life, but it will not
Yes.
teach us in depth, because even when I was in school and all, I used to understand basic things like money is also there, because at that point of time we are not having any direct relationship with money. Like whatever school fees, tuition fees is there, our parents used to take care of it. So at that point of time, we used to understand about different aspects, like we have money, we have health, then we have relationship with like other people, our friends, colleagues, and our own self as well. Although in school and eventually till 12th as well, I was unable to understand about relationship with own self. So that was like the drawback for me as well. And one question which I would like to ask, like the self education, like formal education is for setting the foundation, so that we can understand like these are the different aspects. But self education is the practical implementation of it, and we can understand in depth about every single topic, right? And the only
Agree.
differentiation which I'm able to understand so far through my own journey into self education is that whatever topics are included in formal education, those are completely different as compared to self education. And formal education is based on learning and only adapting, not adapting, but
Okay.
you can consider you can consider taking that knowledge but not implementing it. But self education is primarily based upon implementation and getting the knowledge as well, right? So
Yes.
that is also one of the takeaway which I have so far. And I would like to ask, right now you are 16, and so far, like I've also seen your lot of achievements and all. I've seen your Instagram profile, and even we are in the same community of IELTS. So I would like to ask, how was your experience in FBR, like through the overall 2 days, and how was the you can consider the feeling while achieving that Hall of Fame award, and what you can consider, what are the things which you actually pursued, what are the things you actually implemented in order to be capable to achieve that award?
Okay, so like it was my first Freedom Business Retreat visit. So
Mm-hmm.
like meeting Siddharth Rajshekhar was one of the dreams that I had. But when I actually saw him in front of my eyes, it was truly magical. That the one mentor I was learning since a long time,
Mm-hmm.
sitting at home since last 2 years, was in front of me. So that was a complete game changer for me to meet him, to see the kind of like his simplicity speaks,
Yes,
right? The
definitely.
only word I have for him is like his
Simplicity.
simplicity is so powerful that it just attracts all of us and binds us into that one tribe of ILH. And like achieving the hall of fame was really not easy.
Mhm.
Like, going through that grind of every single day, like there was many sleepless nights I even
True.
have today. And like earlier also I used to have it, because I'm still in school, and
Yes,
12th is also very important. So
definitely.
I think achieving that Hall of Fame was, along with managing my school studies, was one of my biggest achievement. And like, what was the grinding process that I had to go through was a lot of, self belief, and was a lot of efforts every single day. Like every single day, I was capable enough to post video, podcast, blog every single day, every single thing in
Mhm.
one day. But I started receiving a lot of messages from my audience that you are doing so much in one day. Give us some time to grab everything in at once. So
Yes,
then I started reducing it to one thing at a time. But like in the beginning, the more and more efforts you are going to put in the last, like at the end of the day, and after few years, when you actually see yourself achieving and actually impacting a lot of people while you are able to monetize it, so that is like ultimate freedom, which Siddharth
worth it.
sir talks about.
Worth it.
Yes.
Like whatever grind we are doing, the result which we are getting, actually that's worth it, and that's worth the sleepless nights. That's worth the efforts we are putting, the new things which we are learning. Because during this journey, even I have learned a lot. Like whatever things I used to like you can consider fear about, those are the things which I've actually learned to face the camera and all. And even one thing which I learned a few days back is that magic is in the things which we are trying to avoid. Like
Yes.
whatever things we are trying to avoid, the actual magic is inside those things. Because once we enter those things, then we actually understand the importance of those minute things. And with that, I would like to ask this question. Like as you mentioned about at the age of 16, like even lot of kids go through a lot of downfalls, and they're not able to connect with their parents. Because uh, like till the age of 16, 17, or even till 18, we are more close to our friend we are more close to our friends. But our
Yes.
friend circle is also the same. They are also facing the same issues. They are also having same victories, or like you can consider the same age group itself, right? But the age gap between our parents and our own self, like the kids and their parents, is slightly huge. So how do we
Hmm.
actually maintain that? Because as you mentioned about self care, and like one message which you would like to give to the parents specifically, so that they can also take care of their kids, and not just about their kids but also about themselves. Because as you mentioned, like until and unless our own cup is not filled with love, self care, and you can consider the fulfillment, we can't like till that point of time, we can't make someone else happy, or we can't make them feel more you can consider satisfied and all. So what would be your message for those parents?
Okay, so like the one message I will have for parents is you should take care of your own self too. Like, a lot of, like, every parent sacrifices a lot for their children, and that's true, right?
Yes.
They sacrifice their dreams, they sacrifice their own careers. But at the same time, I want all of you to know that, your life matters too. You should also take out some personal time for your life, for yourself, to work on your own goals. Yes, family comes at priority. Yes, family making sacrifices is a part of this, when you are actually making a family. But at the same time, don't compromise on your own life. Like every single day, if you are focusing and you are giving time, you are nurturing your family, you are nurturing your children, you are working hard, at least have 1 hour for your goals, for yourself, so that you can actually love, you can actually understand the power of breathing, or you can actually understand the importance of what it feels like to breathe. Because parents have the most, hardest life,
Yes,
because
that's
they are looking they are having so many responsibilities towards their family, work, job, business, and everything. But the only thing I will give you as an advice is be kind with yourself and have some personal time too. Because again, if you yourself doesn't feel fulfilled, then
Mhm.
you can never make your family feel that freedom that you are trying to give them.
Yes,
So
that's true. That's true. That's a great advice, and even I would like to pass on this to my own parents as well. And with that, like as you mentioned, like you are author of four books, not one, not two, but four books. So would you like to describe about those four books? Like you can just give the name, and you can mention like what's the main thing which we are going to learn through that book. Like you can just
Hmm.
give a
Yes,
brief idea about it. Yeah.
yes, sure. So, like, my first book was The Lion-Hearted Soul, which is basically very close to my heart out of those four books, because it was all about only that one message, that your mess is your message. At the time of your negativity, at the time of your, whenever we face a lot of negative things in life, we tend to be more focused on the negative part. Ki
True.
why is it happening to me? Like, if I tell you my story, how did I start on this journey? I was actually in depression during COVID. I lost someone I loved, not
Mm-hmm.
because of death, but because of some fights in our own family. So,
Oh.
like, it was a severe depression for me
Mm-hmm.
going through that
Like a
one
downfall.
year. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
1 year of downfall where I never told anybody, even my parents never knew. They
Mm-hmm.
started knowing it when I started to do the coaching work, because I never wanted to tell anybody, as I lost my trust on every person around me. But
Mm-hmm.
my book, The Lion Hearted Soul, is all about healing yourself. It is all about like going through that grinding process and finding the beauty in broken. And that's the tagline that I use in my own coaching also, helping you find beauty in broken. If you have seen my
Yes, I
Instagram,
have
you will
seen. Yes.
find that line.
Mm-hmm.
So the lion hearted soul is all about not living like a sheep, but actually living like a lion that you have inside you. Now, my next book was like the law of attraction. It was more focused on your frequency as a person, because remember, if you yourself feel negative all the time, you can never attract the positive things of life. If
Yes.
you feel that you can't do anything, and at the same time in your mind you are dreaming about a positive life, a successful life, it will never come to you. Why? First thing, you are not thinking that way. Second thing, you are not focusing on that being part. You are just totally focused on the present, like how will I do it. But I feel that rather than how, just be focused on your why, because if your foundation is always strong, your steps will start getting clear. I never focus on how. Still, I don't focus on how will I achieve that goal, because I know when I have a powerful vision which I wake up to on a daily basis, my steps will be made clear by God. My steps will be given to me by the universe, because each and every one of us, we have a destiny, and we are the creators of that destiny. A lot of people feel it is always predestined, that
Predestined. Yeah.
everything is already written. But can I tell you, if you feel that way, then I want to break this myth of yours. If God has written a book for you, he has also left a lot of pages
Blank
where
pages.
you can be the author.
Yes.
So that is the thing. My next book, third book, was like Donor's Diary, and the fourth book, Poetry is Fun. Both of them are just poems on life. They are like the poetry books which I used to write, whenever I felt pain. So it was those two books, the poetry ones, are compiled in such a way, every poem, while you read it, you will feel a lot of pain, but at the end, beauty in broken. You will
Yes.
find the message.
Yes.
So that is how I have written these four books.
That's amazing. So just to give a quick wrap, the first book was to understand that we are unique self, and even if we are broken, but still we can be lion in that condition, and we can come up to that, and we can achieve
Yes.
the best possible outcome for ourselves. Because even this is one of the quotations which I heard few months back, is that being poor is, you can consider being poor is a lifestyle, but being broke is a choice. Like from that situation, we can definitely come up, and it's completely up to us how many days, how many weeks, months, or years we are taking in order to come up. So the first one is definitely that, and even I would love to read that. Second is based on law of attraction. uh, Basically it is on balancing the frequency, because even I think the basic definition of law of attraction is the same, right? Like to manage the frequency, whatever things we want to achieve, we have to just match that particular frequency, whether it is
Yes.
with money or with wealth or with good health or in terms of good relationship or anything. And the last two are based on the poetries which you actually made when you were not expressing anything with somebody else, but you expressed it to yourself, and you kept
Yes.
writing the way we do journaling and all. That's cool. That's
Yes.
amazing. And with that, I would just like to ask this one question. Like, as you mentioned about the depression phase, about the and even one thing before the question, as you mentioned about writing the destiny and all. Similarly, I feel the same. And even in one of my own podcasts where I was a guest, that lady asked me, like, do you believe in destiny or something else? Like, do you believe that the destiny is created by default or all? So I think like destiny is something which we can create by our own self, by our own present actions. Because past is what is done, present is completely into our own hand, and future, uh, like future is something which can be defined based on our present action and based on our present, not circumstances like situations, but on our own actions. Because a lot of people think
Agree.
that my current situation is completely negative, my environment is also negative and all, so like I can't achieve those future goals and all. But the main thing is situation is not going to help us, because situation is in any way going to be there, because we can't change somebody else, but we can definitely change ourselves, we can change our actions and all. So that's also one of the main thing which we can consider like a mutual thing between us, that we believe in creating the destiny rather than just thinking that yes, God is already having our own destiny which is predefined. And I would like to ask, like right now you're 16, and what's your goal 5 and 10 years down the line? You can just specify it, whether it is in terms of materialistic things also, or it is in terms of spiritual things also, and then we will go to the your past life. So first, I would like to ask about your
Okay.
future,
So,
like 5 and 10 years
like
down the line.
5 or 10 years down the line, basically where I see myself is, I am the founder of a community called Soul Family, where it is all about helping you reunite with yourself. And when you reunite with yourself, I actually follow this code that when inside there is harmony, outside you will create your own family.
Yes,
So when inside you have harmony, outside you have soul family. So, that is the motto of my community. So, 5 to 10 years down the line, where I see myself is I'm a successful life coach, an
mm-hmm.
Emoticare coach. I have built a community more than 10,000 people in my soul family. Every single day, I'm just adding a lot of value. People are just transforming into, their awakening and enlightened self, and
Mm-hmm.
also like becoming a successful psychologist. Internationally, I am a certified life coach. So that is where I see myself. And I have my own coaching hub
Mm-hmm.
offline. I am taking offline events. I'm able to make my parents proud. I'm able to give them the lifestyle that they have always deserved to live. So that is where I see myself 5 to 10 years.
That's amazing. Best of luck for all your initiatives and best of luck for your vision as well. And I would like to ask something about your past, like as you mentioned about the phase when it was in COVID and all, like you lost someone which was very close to you. So if you're comfortable to share about it, like you can mention about the feelings which you had, because there are a lot of people, not just from India, but across the world, those who lost their loved ones during COVID phase, or even it's something where due to some of their health issues or something else also, because it's sometimes like just because of the second individual, that relationship gets destroyed and all, or sometimes it's our mistakes also, like smaller mistakes and all. So what was that feeling? You can just express, because I think the feelings are going to be the same, but the way we express that feeling, that is going to be different and all. And how did you actually came out of that situation? So if you are comfortable to share that.
Yes. So at that point of time, all the feelings that I used to get was, like maybe there is nobody in this world who can help me, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe the second feeling, which was I don't have any trust on people. Third feeling was at the end of the day, everyone only leaves, right? So I should only leave someone before they actually leave me. So that was another belief that I started creating in my own self, that before someone leaves me, let me leave them. right?
Oh.
My next pattern or belief or the feeling which started, a lot of loneliness. Like I started feeling empty. I started feeling as if, I always need to be dependent on someone else for my own happiness. Like I am giving someone else the power to control me, to control my happiness, to control where I am going in life. So all these feelings combined, like one day we all have this frustrating point in our life, enough is enough, right? And
Yes,
I
yes.
hit that enough is enough moment in my life. A lot of people, I also would like to mention about suicide here. A lot of people at this point of time, they also go through a lot of suicidal thoughts, and they actually attempt it, right? So at this point of time, I only want you to know, and what I did was, like one day when I was totally frustrated and I got that enough is enough moment in my life, I just asked myself this one question: Gargi, are you ready to face? Because now either you have two options, either you face it or you die. And I
Hmm.
chose the option of facing
Facing
it
it.
because I knew somewhere inside I was still not ready to face all of that. And that was the main root cause why these things were affecting me so much. And that day, one decision which changed my life was taking 100% charge. No matter whether good happens in life, no matter whether bad happens, I will not do these three things: no blaming, no complaining, and no excuses.
That's
And that
something.
became my detoxification formula, that
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to do any emotional drama further. I'm not going to look back, and all I'm going to do is focus on my own goals. I started my journey as basically to overcome my own depression. And
Mm-hmm.
I never had this dream of overcoming my, I never had this dream to become motivational speaker or a life coach. Till then, I only knew three things: teacher, engineer, or a doctor.
Yeah.
But then, after going through this journey, all I understood was there is more to my life, there is more to my potential, and I started on the healing part of this journey. So, all I felt was alone, depressed, like a lot of thoughts were roaming around. But I chose not to create any drama, but to create my own dream life further.
That's a very good lesson. So, for the audience who is watching this, suicide is not an option because even this is one of the things which happened in one of my real close friends. Because so far I'm not having more than you can consider five friends in real. Otherwise, I'm having a lot of mentors and all. Those are actually really close to me. Except that I'm not even having five friends in my own physical sense. And one of my friends actually mentioned because of his health issues and all that I want to suicide. And right now he like before doing that attempt he just called me like I'm gonna do suicide right now. This is the very last call which I'm doing to you. So I said, who is with you in your home and all? So he said nobody is there, that is why I'm attempting this. So I said, let's just have a talk, I just want to talk to you. And then I spent a lot of time with him. I was around 6 to 8 hours with him. And after that I just talked to his parents that this is what like which I'm able to observe right now, that he's going through a lot of negative things and all. Maybe it's because of his environment. So maybe you should try to change the environment, because right now I'm able to sense that as well. Although I should not mention that you are his parents, but still, environment is the thing which actually plays a major role. And then from that point of time, they're actually having very good relationship, like parents and kid relationship. That is really very good. And I would like to ask, like, there are a lot of like Indians those who are watching this, and as an Indian thing, this is by default setting into our parents that because of their own, like you can consider because of our own grandparents, they have got a lot of limiting beliefs that our kids should only go through formal education. They should not speak more about money. They should not handle money on their own from the young age, and a lot of negative things you can consider actually that are the limiting beliefs. That's not something which is actually wrong, but it's something which they have actually learned from their own grandparents. Actually, that's wrong from the side of self education and all, but still, that's something which our parents are completely unaware. So, how do we actually avoid those negativities, like negative things into our life, and how do we actually get the best possible outcome?
Yes. So, see. Today only I posted a quote in the morning that your mentality creates your reality. If someone feels, a lot of times when we try to go beyond our own realistic goals and
Mm-hmm.
we try to dream like about our own potential, about where can we go, a lot of people they give criticism. A
Yeah,
lot
true.
of people they have negative beliefs that rather than supporting us, they actually demotivate us that maybe
It's not made for
this
you.
will, yes, it's not made for you, you are not meant to do this and all of this stuff. But the only thing that matters in life is your mindset. How are you going to take it, and how are you going to use it as your fuel? Like, if this man called David Goggins,
Mm-hmm.
today only I like my friend was talking about him. So like in the school only I got to know about this man like David Goggins, how he motivates himself. He has recorded every criticism, every negative belief, every thing that hurts him,
Uh-huh.
and every single day he has this audio. And like he just runs every single day in the morning, he wakes up, he puts on that audio, and he just runs and runs and runs. And while listening to that audio, while listening to those negative criticism again and again, he actually uses it as his fuel to prove each one of them wrong. And that's why like he's also the author of this book, No One Can Hurt Me, right? So this is a very inspirational story. Like whenever anybody of you gets the time to read it, please read
Definitely.
about his story, because when you actually use this negative criticism as a fuel to inspire your own self to complete to do what other feels impossible, it's actually like you set an example and you lead others through that example of yours. Like, either you can be an example for others or you can become a warning. So it's
Yes.
your choice who to become. And now coming to the one thing which you said, that a lot of our limiting beliefs, it comes from our own generations,
Yes.
from our own past generations. But all I want you to remember is, you just have to identify the pattern. Your The only step to cut any problem is to identify its root cause.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people, you might have felt that you are going through a lot of mood swings. Some days you are happy and the next minute you get sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only a mood swing, but it's a pattern. And
Yes.
if you see in your past, maybe somewhere, maybe your grandparent, if not your grandparent, maybe your parent, or maybe somewhere in the past, someone has had already that pattern, and that's how it has gotten into you. Like,
Through
there's a
genes.
very like, it's all about the genes and also about your environment. So at
Uh-huh.
this point of time, all you need to know is identification of the pattern which is hurting you, which is causing those problems, and second is finding the right mentor to help you solve them.
Okay.
Because when
Mm-hmm.
you go alone, you might take a lot of time, but when you go with people, the journey becomes a lot
Very
more
short.
easy.
Very short, and you can achieve the 10x goal, not just
Yes.
normal but the 10x. And I would like to ask, like as you mentioned about patterns and all, is that if let's consider we are having positive environment, we are having positive beliefs, not limiting beliefs but positive beliefs around our own family and all, like let's consider beliefs about health, about relationship, about money, so about self care and all. So we can identify that pattern and we can even put in more positive into it, more positivity into it. Or else, if that particular pattern is negative, let's consider if it's a limiting belief, then we can break that pattern and we can create our own, so that our upcoming generation is not facing that problem, right? Okay. So with that, I would like to ask this, like you can go in depth of this question as well, like as you mentioned about self-care and emoticare as well. So I would like to ask, what is the step-by-step formula? It could be like a 3 steps, 6 steps, or 10 steps as well. What is that step-by-step formula which people can follow so that they can take self-care right from day one? Like let's consider if they want to do it on their own. and in future if they want to have some mentors, because even I believe in
Hmm.
having mentors from every aspect of life, because I don't believe in the concept like self-made, because self-made is something where we are not depending on somebody else. But I believe like uh, once we depend on somebody else for our help, we are not being short-turned in front of them, but uh, we are actually getting to our true self, that yes, human beings are actually helping in nature, and that is why mentors, coaches, and trainers are there. So I would like to ask, what is that step-by-step formula for anybody if they want to take self-care? Like, let's consider negative level. Like as you mentioned about depression phase, negativity, and some people are absolutely at neutral level. They are not having negative energy, not even positive energy. And there are some people, those who are having positive energy about self-care and all. So keeping all these three stages in mind, what are the step-by-step formula you can mention about it?
Yes, so like the first step, it always starts with taking 100% charge of your own life.
Uh-huh.
Because if you are always going to believe that you will always have someone by side, beside you, and always they are going to take decisions for you, then you are absolutely wrong. Because you don't know when the person you trust, they only, break your trust,
True.
because that's how most of the world operates. So first is taking charge, because if you are always going to be dependent on someone else for your own happiness, you are already gone, you are out of the race. So
Yes,
taking 100% responsibility, which is
that's the
no
first.
blaming, no complaining, and no excuses. Second thing which you can do is, stop listening to the other people and start listening to your own inner voice. Like you mentioned in the podcast only while we were discussing, you mentioned this point that until and unless you are not going to listen to your own self, then things will never work out for you.
Yes.
So if you are always going to listen to other people, then judgments, opinions, your self image will depend on these factors. But if you create your own self image by seeing where you can go, remember nobody in this world knows you better than you. Even
True.
even your parents, your close friends, your closest people of your life, the only person who knows your own potential is you.
Correct.
Where you can go, because remember, what you feel you can do, it might be very hard for someone else, and from someone else's perspective, maybe it is hard, and that's why they are going to, stop you from achieving that goal. But if you believe that you can do it, go ahead.
Mhm.
Third thing is, and how will you go ahead? Every single day, the third step is to spend time with your own self. And how will you do that? Set aside 30 minutes, if not 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and do some rituals in order to work on your mindset. Because at the end of the day, what really matters is how you are
Mindset.
operating from here. If you
Mhm.
are putting in a lot of information and you are not implementing it, you are just wasting your own time. But if you are learning something, like follow the golden triangle of life. You learn, there you learn a new concept. Like today, if you are watching this podcast, you are learning a lot of things, but you can't implement all of these things at one go, because there are too
Absolutely.
many things, right? Pick one out of them and do this until and unless you don't get consistent on it. So it's like learn, you do, once you become consistent, then you start teaching it to other people. Because
Absolutely.
if you have a gift and you are only keeping that gift with yourself, you are selfish.
And
But
it's
if you
like
are,
injustice with the world.
yes, but if you want to, utilize this gift, help other people, and while healing other people, you will start healing your own self, right?
Mhm.
This is the third thing. The fourth thing that you can do is every single day, or maybe not if every single day, mirror exercise or journaling. Like I am someone who is more expressive in writing. So
Yeah.
I express myself through writing, and let's say if I'm having a bad day, if I'm feeling low, I just write my feelings down. I just have this thing, like if I am feeling low, then no one can make me happy until and
Except
unless it
journaling.
doesn't come yes,
Yeah.
until and unless it doesn't come from inside. And when I'm high, no one can make me low, right? So this is the thing that you can follow. So every single day, either through journaling, find your own creative way of expressing your own thoughts. If you feel writing helps, you write. If you feel speaking helps, you speak to the walls of the house if you don't have any person around you. Fifth is finding a mentor. Finding a right mentor in your life is very important, because like, if suppose you are going to go alone, you will take
It will
time.
take a lot
But
of
if
time.
you will go together, you will take a short period of time, and the journey will be a kind of a lot of support. Whenever you will feel alone, whenever you will feel like you just want to give up, your tribe will always be there to cheer you up. And how will you find that tribe? When inside you will create harmony, and outside you will actually find that family. Sixth step is
Mm-hmm.
finding your why. What do you actually want? Before even you know your why, sixth step is to be clear on your goals. What do you want to do in your life? In your health sector, in your happiness, in your career, in your finance, in your relationships, in your spirituality, in your travel, personal development. These 8 areas define the whole trajectory of your life. Give
Mm-hmm.
yourself scores out of 10. The current me. How do I want to rate myself out of, on a scale of
1
10,
to 10.
1
Mm-hmm.
to 10? Where do I see myself in the health sector? Then you give yourself that score. Total score of all these 8 areas will give you, out of 80, whatever your total score is. If you feel satisfied, great, keep doing what you do. Most of you will never feel satisfied with your own scores. So see how can you improve. So this is like the 8 areas cycle. Then eighth is like, sorry, the seventh step is to understand your why. Why have you started? You know,
Like the inner purpose.
yes, starting is kind of easy. Like, starting for me, a lot of people say starting is a very difficult step. But I think starting is easy, finishing is a difficult step. A
Yes.
lot of us, we start, but we never complete that thing, right? So I don't want you to be just good starter. I want you to become the best and the powerful finishers. And how will you do it? When you start, just have that why in your mind every single day. Why am I so consistent? Because I know I have a purpose, because my why grounds me. It keeps me grounded, it keeps me motivated and uplifted. So that is the next thing. Like, your why will define your destiny, your future, wherever you want to go. And the last eight step, which helps you to prioritize yourself in self care. And even I am talking about a general view. Your environment plays a huge role.
Yes, definitely.
Environment in terms of three things: physical space. Where do you sit? Does it inspire you? Does it makes you motivated? Does it feels like a dream corner for you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a dream board? Do you have all the things placed on your table which makes you feel and remind you of the vision? Because if your physical space is, dirty, things are just here and there, you will never feel that motivation to start, right?
True.
Because remember, if your own space is not organized, you can never become organized. Second thing is your people. You are the sum of the five people you surround yourself with. If these five people drain you, you are gone. If these five people, once you know that the people around you are criticizing you, they are, poking you, they are not motivating you, change them. Loving someone from a distance is okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have loved a lot of people from a distance, because I knew, because sometimes you will realize that some people are just meant to be in your heart and not in your life, and that's fine, right? And third thing is to, like, third thing is emotionally, what's your environment? Emotionally, what's your environment? Basically, it means is, how do you feel on a daily basis? What's your pattern? How do you feel around people? When you are alone, what do you feel? Are you always, like, when, suppose if you are alone, are you not able to stay alone? Because a lot of people, they feel alone, like emptiness. emptiness, they connect it with solitude. But
Yes.
these two are different things. Solitude is spending time with yourself, and it can be either negative or positive. Emptiness is when you see solitude in a negative way, you feel empty. But if you see solitude in a positive way, and if you know how to spend time with yourself, you will feel a lot more better. So I think these are the 8 steps to help you design your life.
That's amazing. And that was like a very concise and precise question. Although I have a lot of questions which we will definitely cover in the part two of it. But with that, like I would just like to ask last two questions, and even you can give a very short answer to it. What is that one thing with which you wake up every day in the morning which makes you fulfilled in life? Like this is the last second question, and then we will go to the last one.
Okay, I am on a mission to help people find beauty in broken. So that is the only thing which,
Makes you
motivates me
feel
on a daily
satisfied and
basis.
fulfilled, and it
Yes.
makes you feel contented so that you can work more on yourself and your community and get the bigger difference in this world. That's amazing. And one last question, it's like a personal based question, it's not something regarding anything, but any last advice which you would like to give to yourself, maybe when you were 11 years old, but like 5 years back. If you go 5 years back, what would be those three advices which you would like to give yourself?
Okay, so the first advice I would give is, never compare yourself to anyone,
Mm-hmm.
because I have done it a lot. So don't compare yourself with anyone. Second thing, you don't need any XYZ to complete you. God has already sent you in a complete
Complete way,
form.
yes.
And the journey on earth is all about finding and reconnecting with your inner self. And the last thing I would suggest is be kind on yourself. Like a
That's
lot of
amazing.
times I try to hurry up through the process, but then after few days I just realize I still have a lot of time. I
Mm-hmm.
can, like relax. I can do whatever I want at any point of time whenever I feel.
That's amazing. And that was to the point answer. And with that, thank you so much, Gagi, for being here. And definitely, we are going to have part two of it as well. And one simple request, which I would like to ask to the people, those who are watching this, that below this particular video in the description box, I'm going to mention all the social handles of Gargi. So make sure whatever takeaways you have from this particular podcast, you take all those in the form of big message, and you can just tag him on Instagram. You can take a snapshot of this podcast, whatever learnings you have, make sure you share on Instagram, on Facebook, and even if possible on LinkedIn as well. And I'll share all the social handles so that you can be in touch with her as well. And if you want to learn more about self-care and many more things, and along with that, this is like a humble request which I mentioned, like make sure you make a paragraph of it. Even if you want to tag on stories, you can tag. If you want to make in the form of text, you can just text her on Instagram so that she can also feel that whatever time she has invested into this particular podcast, and most importantly the energy and effort whatever she has given so far into this podcast, it was worthwhile. Because definitely I also want a part two of it so that we can discuss more about mentors and how we can go in depth about it, whether it is any of the age, whether it is for 20-year-old kid, for any of the people those are in the mid age, or even after 50 and all. So definitely looking forward to be in the part two of it as well. And once again, thank you so much, Gargi, for being into this particular podcast, and looking forward for the part two as well. Anything
Yes,
else which you
thank
would
you
like
so
to ask?
much.
Anything else which you would like to just mention to the audience into this podcast before wrapping up this session?
Yes, I would just like to thank all of them, because, at the end of the day, who inspires me is all of you.
Hmm.
Because your story, your problems, they inspire me to find and dig out the solutions for all of you. So, thank you so much for being such a huge inspiration to me. And thank you to you for inviting me on this show. It was
Welcome.
truly an honor.
Thank you so much. So here's the end of this particular podcast show. But do you believe that this is the ending? Absolutely not, because we want to learn more about how do we build a strong relationship with our own self, how do we cope up with the negative environment which we have so far, and how do we actually go with a mentor who is an implementer. Because in this particular podcast show, she has already covered up the concept of learn, do, and teach. And I hope that you are absolutely clear about that particular concept as well. But we want the concept whichever she has shared, we want in-depth explanation of it. That's why I'm willing to take her on for the part two of this particular podcast show as well, because of some time constraints from her side. That's why we were not able to stretch that particular podcast show for more than 1 hour and all. But if you want part two of this particular podcast show, one single thing which you will have to follow is that below this particular video in the description box, I've shared all the social handles of Gargi Arya. Make sure, please make sure, this is a humble request from my side, all the takeaways which you had so far from this particular podcast show, you share below this particular video and tag her on Instagram by taking snapshot of this particular podcast show. And even if possible, you can text her in person on Instagram so that she can feel that whatever time she invested while this particular podcast show was worth her time, efforts, and energy, and most importantly, her knowledge, the wisdom which she had at this young age, that is 16 years old. Can't you even, like, don't you even feel that it's worth her efforts which she's putting at the age of 16? Because at the age of 16, I was nothing. I didn't even knew about what is life coaching, what is relationship with our own self, and also that is why she is also one of the inspiration for me as well. So I'm so glad that you have came so far till the end of this particular podcast show as well, and looking forward to see you in upcoming podcasts. But before that, make sure you do all those activities because I want her to be present onto our podcast show for part two as well. Because even I want to learn about relationship with our own self, how do we actually cope up with the negative environment, and many more things as well. So make sure you stay tuned for upcoming updates and stay tuned for upcoming new guests as well. Till then, live fully, love openly, and make the difference today. I wish you joy and abundance in all you do.